one final thing, it just came to mind, and you mentioned formal functions. I enjoy schema theory, and
Mhm,
I know, but with regard to form, right? So, what do you make of these? I think I asked Professor Yerdigan, and I don't think he thinks too much in the same way of form as perhaps Professor Kaplan. Like he has
mhm.
schemas and then he leaves it at that. I think it really
Yeah.
pretty much that. But you know everything now. You know the partimento, you know schema. You've looked at everything and you've worked with Professor Kaplan. And so how
Mhm,
do you look at form? Is it are there different schools of thought with regard to form, and how does a student perhaps take the best of both worlds, maybe choose a school of thought? I mean, what's your opinion
mhm.
there?
Well, I'll acknowledge my bias right off the bat. I mean, I did study with Bill, and so I'm thoroughly seeped in the tradition of formal function. But I believe strongly in the idea of formal function. And so one of the examples I give to my students in my classes, I tell them I draw a sundial on the board, and then I ask them, "What's this piece right here?" And I point to what's called a gnomum, and I say, "What is this?" And the answer is what I would say is like the most sensical answer is that, oh, the gnomum is the object that projects a shadow onto the sundial so we can tell the time, right? So we describe the gnomum in terms of its function. And when we're analyzing music and we say, well, what is its function? I read somewhere they said visual art is the decoration of visual space, and music is the decoration of time. And so if we're decorating time, uh, it's about how do we decorate time. And in time, we have a sense that there's a beginning, a middle, and an end, and then there's parts between those,
Mm,
and maybe there's something before the beginning, something after the end. And so that concept, while very simple initially, is extremely powerful because it says that we can look at this and this piece will intrinsically tell us what function it's serving, and it's of course it's related to the surrounding nature as well. But I think Bill's work is very very powerful, and he wouldn't say that it necessarily derives from Beethoven's thinking, but I would, and that's something that obviously I would need to substantiate and more scholarship, but we'll see if I get there. But I think his 2013 book, Analyzing Classical Music: An Approach for the Classroom, is a fantastic book. It's very well written, very accessible. So I think someone interested in form should go there. There's another whole topic on the relationship between schemas, schemata, and form. There's some overlap, like a quiescenza, for example, is an opening gesture, and it can also serve as a closing gesture. So tonic prolongations are typically opening and closing, and so there does seem to be some overlap. Bill also has an article on this, on the relationship between the two. It's not fully worked out yet, but I will maybe just mention one quote again by Felix Diergarten, and he talks about um, this. Yeah, okay. He writes in his editorial, and I can mention the issue of the editorial, but he says, to re-theorize Partimenti in 18th century music means to move beyond a pioneer phase characterized by scholars discovering more and more schemata on which they plant their flags by giving them idiosyncratic and personal names. It means to proceed from a phase of reification of single schemata, something certainly necessary, especially for pedagogy, to a phase in which the entirety of tonal schemata can be seen against a rich 18th century theoretical background. I tend to agree with him here. And I think if music theory is a meta language, then our meta language needs to be accessible, precise, and concise. Meaning that
mm.
if we call something, I won't use any of
A Posen.
the some of these, yeah, like what is a post, right? Like it doesn't
Yeah.
tell us what it is. And this is the problem I have with some other theories of form, like a type 2 sonata. What's a type 2 sonata? Like it doesn't tell us anything. I have to go
Mm,
reference type 2 in some book. Whereas if you told me this is a sonata without a development, oh, okay, it has an exposition or recapitulation, like, okay, and it's lacking in development. Like what, okay, whatever. You know, if you tell if the language is precise and it tells me what the thing is doing, so this is a presentation, this is a continuation, this
yeah.
is ending, I think it's a very effective meta language versus a meta language that obscures and kind of hides the idea within. You have to go look it up in this book if you want to know what a type 1 sonata is. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't ascribe to that idea.
Okay. See, this is me tearing my draft for my Hogan schema, so I'll just have to destroy it now.
No, but you know what?
The Hogan.
Okay, I will come back on this one concept because
I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, of course, but sometimes having names for things is incredibly useful. And so when I teach people some improvisation techniques, I say this is a quiescenza, right? Well, what is a quiescenza? A student asked me that yesterday. What's a quiescenza? Well, this is what it is musically, but why is it called quiescenza? I don't really, it's like, but this is what everybody calls it. So we just use that,